And now, here's Mark Haney.
I'm going to admit to you that I was a little bit derailed this morning after the events that happened in Paris yesterday. It's all over the news, and I'm derailed because I didn't know how much I ought to bring it up on the show and how to address it appropriately. 128 people thus far they know have died or killed in 6 separate attacks in Paris, and it's just tragic. And I can't continue the show without at least acknowledging that and putting forth my concern for the family and all the people in Paris and throughout France. And I have to think that they probably view this as something similar to what our 9/11 was. And so just our thoughts and prayers go out to those people. And ISIS apparently is taking responsibility for this tragedy, and it just makes me think that we have to stay resolved in stamping out terrorism and eliminating ISIS, and that's going to allow us to move forward as a country and as a group of countries and a group of allies. So with that said, I was pulling out of the driveway to come down to the studio this morning, and I picked up the Sacramento Bee as I was coming out of the gate, and the top story was a Grant High School football player that was fatally shot. And so then it's like, how do I mention ISIS? And then I've got the Grant football player, and multiple, I guess, players were shot. And you can't pick up the paper these days without without seeing something. And so I'm sitting here with Tom Cisneros, my partner in crime, and we've got some great guests today on the show. But how do you move forward on a day like today? And I think that the way I'm going to deal with this is just with the idea that you've got to multitask, and you've got to stay in your zone while there's terrible things happening. You've got to figure out what you can do to find your own happiness, to chase your own dreams, and that's really what this show is all about. This show is about helping people to be successful and to move forward in their lives. So we're gonna stay on our game here. We're gonna keep it going, and I'm gonna do my best to help entrepreneurs build their businesses, chase their dreams, and hopefully together we can do some important things that make this country a better place, and overall make this world a better place to live. So here's where I was going to start the show. We say that the Kings have won 2 games back-to-back, which is awesome. And so as you think about, hey, I'm going to transition, I'm going to stay in my zone, the Kings won 2 games back-to-back, which is cool. And, we still got to go to 49er games, right? And today, later in the day, I've got a wedding to go to. I'm going to Ashley and Nick's wedding. Nick Sullivan is marrying a beautiful girl this afternoon. So we've got to go on with life. We've got to keep it rolling. And I was at the 49er game last week with my brother from another mother, Todd Flowers, my business partner from SSI, our surveillance company. And we were watching the game, and really that's where the inspiration for today's show came from, as we were watching the game. And before the game, actually, the quarterback that ran on the field was not Colin Kaepernick. The quarterback that ran on the field was a guy by the name of Blaine Gabbert.
Can you say that fast 3 times?
Blaine Gabbert. I cannot say the name too rapidly, but I couldn't help but, in talking to Todd, I think we're both in agreement that, wow, this is, we like Colin Kaepernick, but Blaine has this opportunity that it was probably unexpected that he had worked so long and hard for. He comes from the University of Missouri. He's bounced around the NFL a little bit, had some injuries, ends up on the Niners as a bench player. He did all right in preseason, but then it's his time. They decided to replace Colin, and it's Blaine's big moment, right? It's his opportunity, and it made me think about entrepreneurs and other people who are looking to build a dream and build something important. And when's your Blaine Gabbert moment? That's what I said to myself. When is my Blaine Gabbert moment? And as I think about entrepreneurs and people thinking about being entrepreneurs, how do you recognize your Blaine Gabbert moment, your big opportunity? And sometimes they're a little hard to see. I mean, if you're a student, it might be a situation where there's a job opportunity that you heard about that is in line with what you see yourself as you get older. And if you're an employee, maybe a supervisor is complaining about a problem. Maybe it's a problem that can be solved at work, and maybe you've already been working on a solution. Maybe that's your opportunity to really change the trajectory of your career. And if you're a startup, right, there's a lot of I'm getting involved in this startup community around the Sacramento area, and if there's a startup that maybe it's a customer brings you a new order, you have an exclusive solution, and that light bulb moment goes off, and you find out a way to help deliver that product, and it's just like, wow, that's the opportunity I was needed. Sometimes a mature industry, a mature business owner might maybe he discovers that a free agent is available on the market that can really be that missing piece of the puzzle, or maybe there's a supplier that says, hey, I'm unhappy with my current channel, and it's time to move in your direction. And it's that Blaine Gabbert moment. So what do you do? Are you ready when your Blaine Gabbert moment comes along? Are you physically ready? Are you mentally ready? Are you financially ready for your Blaine Gabbert moment? I don't know. I mean, for me, if there's one thing that I think that could help you to get ready, I would ask you the question, who are you spending the most amount of time with? Right? Who do you spend your time with? Are you spending your time with your true friends and your family? The people that know what your vision is, that know what your dreams are? Are you spending your time with motivated coworkers? People that think about building business the same way you do? I mean, if you're Blaine Gabbert, you probably, or even Colin Kaepernick, hopefully you're spending time with your offensive line, right? People that have the same goals as you, right? Who are you spending your time with? Maybe it's your boss. You're beating your boss to work, right? Tom, are you beating your boss to work?
I am, as a general rule, yeah.
Good. Okay, so I mean, you spend time with your boss. That guy's got dreams that probably align somewhere with yours. And so, I mean, or your real boss, the customer. How much time are you spending with the customer? And investors, right? You need these guys to be ready too if you're building a business. So, look, you can spend time with the right people, or you can spend time with going out partying and one-night stands with the victims of society, the people without the big dreams, without the long-term commitments, that talk the talk, but never seem to walk the walk.
Right.
I'm Mark Haney. Welcome to Entrepreneurs Unlimited. Today, we're going to have some great guests. Coming up in the show, we will meet Jeff Applebaum, entrepreneur, actor, and one of the very few successful clean comedians on this planet. But first, coming up after the break, we will meet the enigmatic Robert Beatles, founder and CEO of the Memory Tag Greeting Card Company. He is intimately involved in the music business, the construction industry, and several other entrepreneurial ventures. He even made a valiant run for the United States Congress. And we'll be back on Sports 1140 KHTK, streaming live, podcast, and YouTube at haneybiz.com.
Now, here's Mark.
All right, and welcome back. We are here with Robert Beatles, founder and CEO of the very successful Memory Tag Greeting Card Company. Good morning, Robert. How you doing?
Good morning. How you doing?
Glad you made the trip over here to the KHTK studios.
Thanks for having me, and you're actually pretty good at this. I'm surprised.
You know what? Uriah Faber was, who is a mutual friend of ours. He was my first guest, and I was extremely nervous. And since then, I've gradually come into my own.
Yeah, you're right. He's the best, isn't he? I mean, he's, this UFC guy, this entrepreneur guy, nicest guy on the planet, and he can kick your ass.
Yeah. You can definitely underestimate a guy like
he's the
Uriah.
best, man.
So, Robert, let's talk about your business and your background. Tell us about Memory Tag and the different groups of companies that you have.
I don't own a chicken ranch.
You don't?
No, that's about one thing I don't do.
Okay.
Let's see, Memory Tag.
When are you going to start that?
I don't think I'm going to move that direction yet.
Okay.
Maybe cows.
Okay.
But so Memory Tag, it's the world's first video greeting card. And, a while back, it was, I don't know, 2009 or something, I was trying to get a bunch of my employees together to actually sign a greeting card, to send them out to our customers and whatnot. And it was kind of like herding cats, getting all the employees together to sign these cards. And then once they did sign them, it just ended up looking like a bunch of graffiti. It's not something you really want to send somebody and say, hey, thanks for the business, we love you. It just looks like a whole bunch of people just scratched all over the card. I thought, man, what if there was a way that I could put a video on this card where I could get all my employees together, have them tape, the message, just shoot it right onto the card. Wouldn't that be cool? And so then I figured out how to, actually make the software, create the applications to where that with your smartphone, you just scan the memory tag inside of the paper greeting card. You can leave your own video. You can leave a photo if you want. You can leave a gift card if you want. And whoever you give it to will be able to watch that video or see that photo forever. So rather than just taking the $5 out of the paper greeting card and throwing it away, this one you're going to hold on to because there's a video in it.
Wow, so Grandma can get the video on the other end and actually see you from across the country or across town and really have that warmer message instead of just the personalized love Robert, right?
Exactly, yeah. And so, like, if you were to give a card to your wife 20 years, from now, she could actually go back and watch it, and she could see the sexier Mark when he still had his hair.
The evidence. Now, I do have a little bit of hair, but it's a little bit gray. So now, talk to us about building that business. So, great idea.
Okay.
And what did you do with the idea?
What did I do with it?
Well, it became a business. This idea became a business, and then. So now I know you've got national distribution.
Yeah. So I mean, first of all, it's all because of God, man. So you got to give Him the credit, and then my family. So, but it started off with just an idea. It's like let's get all the employees together. Let's create a video. Let's figure out how to get it on this card. So once I found that that's something that people would actually like, we created the software, and then right around 2012, I think, the end of 2012, into 2013. Yeah, into 2013, we went to Hawaii with it. So we created our own greeting cards. We took them to Hawaii. We put them in Walmarts and Don Quixote's and Walgreens. And within 3 weeks, we sold out everything. So we were like, wow, people actually like this stuff,
test market was pretty good.
Yeah, and I chose Hawaii because I figured it's the furthest place from home, right? If it completely bombs, nobody's gonna know. Or if it's a great idea and it works, then I can come back and pitch it, and that's exactly what happened.
You needed a reason to write off the trip to Hawaii too, right?
Oh, absolutely, man. It was business, I promise.
So you took it to Hawaii, and the marketing was favorable, and then you're in shops across the country. Where's your business at?
Sure. So we had our proof of concept in 2013, sold 93% or whatever it was of all the cards. Came back in 2014 and took meetings with all the big box stores, right? So pretty much anybody and everybody that would take us, I went and talked to them and got yeses from everybody. So this year we've been in the I guess the stages of filling the orders, and so we should be in around 40,000 stores over the next few months. So it makes us the third largest greeting card company in the country that's not related to American Greetings or Hallmark. So it's it's super exciting, and stemming from these greeting cards, we've also come up with other products as well, like books and plushies and all kinds of other stuff that we're going to be introducing to the market as well under the Memory Tag umbrella. So
very exciting. You're such a humble guy. Who would you say was been besides yourself, who and God, but from a personal standpoint, who has helped you the most in building this dream?
I'd have to say my wife. I mean, she's stood by me through everything. We found each other when we were 14, and at 17 we were already married with our first son, Aaron, who's 20 now. But we got married at an early age. Which is
now, is that legal? I didn't know you could do that in this state.
Yeah, exactly. So here's kind of the funny story, right? So we were pregnant at 17, got married at 17, but you can't just get married in California at 17, right? So our parents had to actually drive us up to Reno, Nevada, where we met this little old lady that wearing this pantsuit that was light blue with this crazy red hair that looks like she smokes like 30 packs of cigarettes a day. And I guarantee she probably did like Elvis impersonations at night and on the weekends. She married us.
Wow. And that was several years. How long have you guys been married?
We've been together for 23 years.
Wow.
So, Yeah, so she's always been there for me, and had my back, and it's just kind of one of those things. We started with nothing, and we're doing pretty good.
That's great. And now, when did you receive your big break in business? When did you have your Blaine Gabbert moment? Because you've done so many things beyond memory tag.
Yeah, quite a few. So I guess Blaine Gabbert. Well, I worked for a construction company for, I don't know, it's probably 3 or 4 years running the company, and I had this big blowout with the owner because he was kind of a crazy person. And he said, if you can do a better job, you should go start your own business and do it. So I'm like, that's not a bad idea. So that's exactly what I did. So I, sold a house, bought the money that I needed, or had the money I needed to buy all the equipment and stuff like that. And so by 25-ish, created our first $1 million.
Wow.
Yeah, just direct challenge. Do a better job. Well, I did.
And was that a construction company?
Yeah.
Started a construction company. And then what are the other give us a sense as to what the other businesses are that you've been involved with.
Well, like I said, I don't own a chicken ranch.
I mean, the
It's kinda
music
like
business,
you,
you've
yeah.
got a record label. I don't own as many as you. So record label.
I might have a problem.
Is this, have you been to counseling for your addiction?
Yeah, and then I bought the counseling place.
That's hilarious. So, okay, so what's the most extreme business that you own? The one that would just shock us?
Extreme. Well, there's a couple I can't talk about yet because I can't yet, but I want to. So next time.
Okay.
But let's see here. Recently, I was approached, to be the majority owner of a football team, a professional football team. So that was kind of fun. I don't know if I'm going to do it yet or not. We'll see. And then I was approached to be part owner of a MMA fighting league, a feeder to the UFC.
Nice.
So that's kind of cool. And then of course, the record label, putting bands out there on the, out there on the charts and getting to hear their music on the radio. That was fun. But what I really like to do is just create new things. So I would say it's like R&D. That's what's really fun for me is when you create new products, for yourself or for big businesses, and you're actually able to see it go from just an idea to a product on the shelf. To me, there's just something so cool about that.
Robert Beadles, chasing the American dream, living the American dream. I'm Mark Haney. You're listening to Entrepreneurs Unlimited on Sports 1140, KHTK, streaming live, podcast, and YouTube at haneybiz.com.
Once again, here's Mark Haney.
And we are back with Robert Beadles, founder and CEO of the Memory Tag Greeting Company and many other businesses. And he is sitting in the plaster concrete chair, which is guaranteed to crack. And we guarantee also that nobody's going to steal it. So anyway, welcome back, Robert. So now it's just like the concrete, right? It's perfect. So question, how do you go about developing a business model and a business strategy?
Well, I mean, it just kind of depends on what business, it is you want to develop. But you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time because there's already successful people that have already built these businesses. Or if they haven't built one just like what you're trying to do, they've built something that's similar or even if it's not similar, you can still follow on their footprints so that way you're not reinventing the wheel and hopefully you'll come out with the same outcome.
Now, who do you look to for guidance and advice in building businesses?
Now it's definitely EO, man. I love you guys. Mark, you're part of my forum. I'm one of the new member chairs at here in Sacramento. It's so I definitely have EO as a support network that never had before. Prior to that, it was just kind of my family. The wife and just get out there and do it and make mistakes, learn from them, and hopefully not make them again.
Now, do you guys sit at the dinner table? You have a very close-knit family. Do you sit at the dinner table and strategize about, okay, how are we going to do this and how's this going to change our life?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I learned a long time ago never make a big decision without including the boss because,
Yes.
we know how women are.
And now you and Uriah are partners on at least one business, right?
Yeah, he's the best.
How
man.
is he for a business partner? Is he carry his weight?
Oh yeah, and then some. I mean, he's like an ant, like 100 times his weight. Yeah.
Okay.
No, he's the best.
Okay, great. Now, nobody goes through life undefeated. And I know in my businesses we felt the financial crisis of 2008 deeply. Was there a dark moment ever in your career?
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody has them at some point. For me, it was probably, with the whole record label thing, it sounded fun. It was something that I didn't know how to do or, I've never done it before, but that didn't stop me. And maybe I wish it did in the beginning, but I learned from it. And, it all started, my wife's really good friend had a son that was, a so-called talented musician that just felt that he'd never had his break. And, So he's like, Beatles, you should start a record label. Everything you do is successful, and if you have a record label, we'll be successful. So I'm like, why not? Who doesn't love music? I've always been a music lover. I mean, hell, you can play something on kazoo, I'll love it. So, anyways, so we started, a BTR, and we're like, okay, so now what? So I started, kind of fumbling through things, and got them on the radio and did a couple big concerts, and it just turns out that they kind of sucked. Yeah. But I did find a band that I did like that were great people, and I was able to keep them on the radio for several years. But I just wasn't smart enough to make money at it. So that was kind of
So
sucked.
that was a venture that you tried, and anything that you learned from that?
Yeah, it is really tough to make money in the music industry, and my heart just goes out to the 99.9% that can't.
Yeah. And you wrote a book after the financial crisis. I know it was called Here's What You Do. What inspired you to write that book?
Well, I guess I'd had so many people over the years that kind of say, hey, how did you do this? Why are you driving a nice car? Why do you have a nice house? Why do you have all these businesses and employees? How'd you do it? And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to write a quick little guide so that way people can kind of, get the gist of what I do. And, hopefully they can learn from it. So that's what I did. And, I gave all the money to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And it was just, a simple little guide and nothing too crazy.
I mean, what are the key principles that drive your philosophy, and where do they come from?
Well, I've always believed that true wealth comes from the ground. So if it's something, that nature gives us, it's something that's worth something. So like wood, you get houses, commodities, wheat, corn, all that kind of stuff. It's worth stuff. So, I've tried to base, a lot of my businesses on stuff like that. Philosophy, I don't know. It's just, I barely graduated high school. I mean, with an adult school diploma, actually. So I just read a ton of books. And I don't know, I just kind of shaped my own, vision for things through all the books that I read, I guess.
Any advice that you could offer for entrepreneurs that are thinking about making the leap?
Find mentors, find people that are in the field doing the things you want to do, and try to buddy up to them. That's a great way to keep from making all the mistakes that business owners make, like myself. So it looks like I broke it. Did I break it?
It's back in business. My mic goes out every so often.
Yeah.
So advice to entrepreneurs. So you've taken a number of people under your wing, and now with EO, we're kind of helping each other.
Yeah.
What's next for Robert Beatles and your organization?
My goal has always been to create $1 billion business by 40, and we're going to do it. So that's my big goal right now, is to build, the businesses that we have and get them to the point that, it's always been the goal, the $1 billion number.
How do you scale something to $1 billion? That's a big number. Distribution,
manufacture, and a great product.
Okay, and what about the systems that need to go into place in order to scale your businesses? I mean, what happens there?
Lots of smart people, man. Lots of smart people, better at numbers than I am.
Okay, so by the time you're 40, and how old are you now?
37.
37, so you've got 3 years to do it. Okay, yeah, okay. We're going to have you back on in just a short period of time so we can follow up on you. Now, at the beginning of the show, you heard me talking a little bit about the tragic events that happened in Paris.
It's horrible.
And, I mean, how should people be feeling today after this tragic event? I mean, I'm trying to go on with my life, but you still have this kind of hanging over you.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of feelings that people have, anger, sadness. But, I think the government should just track them down and put them in the ground.
Yeah. Now, you ran for politics.
Not really.
Did you run for Congress? That if I Google Robert Beatles, I will find out that at one point you ran for United States Congress.
It was a great learning experience.
Another one of those great learning experiences. They happen for all of us. So, any closing thoughts as we think about entrepreneurship and chasing our dream and the Blaine Gabbert moment? Any closing thoughts for our listeners?
You are actually really good at this. I just thought I'd throw that out there again, man. Yeah. Closing moments. I think people should listen to your show more. I think they should definitely, try to find people like you that are, teaching the principles of business. And if that's something that they want to get into, I think that's what they should follow up with and do.
All right. Thank you very much for being on the show, Robert.
Anytime.
Coming up in just after the break, we will have Jeff Applebaum, entrepreneur, actor, and clean comedian. I'm Mark Haney. You're listening to Entrepreneurs Unlimited on Sports 1140 KHTK, streaming live, podcast, and YouTube at haneybiz.com.
Once again, here's Mark Haney.
I'm not even a comic. I'm here to talk to you about timeshares. I am happy to be here because I just finished jury duty. You know, third time I got the notice, third time they picked me to be on the jury. I told my wife, see, honey, the court system thinks I'm fair and unbiased. What the hell is your problem?
All right, and
Who
welcome.
was that masked man?
Welcome back. That was Jeff Applebaum, entrepreneur, actor, and comedian, a Californian with a New York accent.
Whoa,
Wow.
whoa. A New Yorker who happens to live in California for the last 25 years.
Okay, you can't quit us, huh?
I can't start you. Come on, the Mets were just in the World Series. I'm still in mourning, but I'm still a New Yorker. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, actually.
Okay, so you're a Mets
But
fan?
I shop at Whole Foods, so I do live
Okay,
in,
so you're more of a Mets fan than a Yankees fan?
No question about it. No question about
you
it.
live in the Bay Area, but you're not a Giants fan.
No. I mean, I'm happy when my friends are happy. You go, oh, look, they're happy. Look, they had a chai latte, whatever. But I'm happy to see my friends happy as long as the Mets are not in it at the same time. The Mets are in it, all bets are off. I'm sorry.
Understood.
You can't let go of where you came from. That's all. You have to have a foundation.
No question.
My brother, as a matter of fact, when he lived out here, he has. I'm sorry, it's your show.
No. Go ahead.
He had his kids were
You're a
wearing
stand-up comedy guy. I'm just a radio show
Actually,
host.
I used to officiate weddings in Reno, so I married Robert and his wife. Me and just call me Kate. But actually, I thought Robert's interview, that was fantastic. So a lot of mad props to both of you guys for that interview. It was really terrific. Enjoyed it a lot. And I was saying about loyalty and foundation. My brother, I remember when he had his kids were young and he was living here in the Bay Area, and I saw his kids with like Giants jerseys on. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, well, we live here. I'm like, really? And I turned to my son Josh, who was probably about 5 at the time. I go, Josh, who's your favorite baseball team? He goes, New York Mets, Daddy. I go, that's a kid. That's a smart kid right there.
He's loyal.
I didn't talk to my brother for like 2 months, but then we got through it.
So I wonder, and our listeners may wonder, what's it like to be an entrepreneur that is also a comedian? Your business is your comedy, but I know it's much more than that. What's that like?
It's like sitting there and having nobody respond. It's unbelievable. It's like, hello, is this on? I'll be here all week. Why is the audience sleeping? So apparently I should market sleeping aids or something. But to me, comedy has always been a communication vehicle, a survival mechanism, and a way to connect with people. That's how I've survived. That's how it gives me great joy to see you laugh, right? As manufacturer, put the sign down, please. As manufacturer, when people laugh, to me, barriers come down. So laughter opens up the ability to, hey, let's relax a little bit. Now we can actually have a conversation. I believe laughter, a smile, music, is something that's universal, no matter where you are. And if you could really, laughter helps people put at ease, and now you can have a communication. You feel better. When somebody comes to me and says, man, what a great night. I'm leaving here feeling much better than I did when I got here. I'm happy. That makes me happy to give somebody joy like that. So in business, it's all about connecting. It's all about making relating to somebody, and humor is one way of breaking the barriers when you meet somebody. And if you can make somebody laugh, as we know, we're all in business and we have millions of messages coming at us from everywhere. What's going to separate you, right? Or what's going to make you, Mark, why will somebody listen to you? Why will somebody put this show on? They'll be like, somebody maybe laugh, or there was something about the show that drew them in, that kept them there. Humor is one way. Look at it. Look at the ads that are on the internet. Now, remember that you used to, if I'm watching video on the internet, I have to watch an ad at the beginning. Now it gives me at least 3 seconds. I could decide to click off of it. But if something engages me and draws me in those first 2 seconds, I'm going to stay on.
Yeah, so now let me ask you a question. What's your differentiation? You're a clean comedy guy, but how do you're talking about...
Clean means not funny. No,
but you're talking about in business, humor can be a way that we use that to differentiate ourselves, or
Absolutely.
to keep a meeting lighter.
That's right.
But how do you, now in your business, how do you differentiate yourself?
I find do what you say you're going to do, right? If you say I'm going to do something, take the time to listen to where people are coming from. What do they want? Why would they engage with you in business? What do you have to offer them? How can I get that message, that value statement to them very quickly? To me, if I'm with somebody or I'm meeting somebody and I say something, okay, we look at the situation, you look at this football, we make a joke about this, or driving here today, I joke about something. Nobody was on the road, so somebody had to get into an accident just so we could, have some traffic in the Bay Area driving up. Something dumb, right? Or I got stuck behind a couple of Prii on my way up. And then eventually it's still morning, I know. But,
when did you get your first big break in business? When was your Blaine Gabbert moment?
it hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't? Are you looking for
I'm
it?
Joking. There's many times where you're working very hard and you're invited to speak. And when you speak and then you get on stage and you have a message that comes out and somebody comes to you and say, man, you really touched me and made a difference. And I found if you just share your story about your struggles, nobody wants to hear a story about, hey, I was born, I started business, and all of a sudden I just made all this money. The thing that draws me in is when you hear stories of people who struggled, who failed, who thought about giving up, because that's, I think, every day for an entrepreneur going, why am I doing this? Yeah. Why am I getting up? Even getting up here, we came from the Bay Area, so we got up at 5 o'clock today to drive up. Why? Because that's what you do. The one thing is, so that was a break for comedy. I was speaking at a business event, and there was somebody in the audience that said, came up to me afterward and said, I'm the stage manager at the Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson. And I'm like, you're kidding me. Like, people are trying to tease you. And he goes, no. He goes, do you have a tape or something? So I go, here. No. So I sent him a video, and they go, we like what we see. Can we get you scheduled for the show? I'm like, let me check my schedule. No, of course we can. So that to me was a opportunity, and I believe, you work hard. Luck increases as you work.
What did you do with that opportunity?
Well, I got on national TV, and it's late at night. Thanks to the internet though. So it's after Letterman and before the hair replacement commercials, which I, by the way, do pay attention to these days. Like, honey, write this down, Bosley. How do you spell that? .com? Look at this guy's hair. He could swim, but now with the internet, you have a video, you send it out, and people say, oh, okay, it's credibility, and it helps you leverage when you people refer you for gigs, and they go, oh, this person has a TV credit. It does make a difference. It does help.
You ever afraid before you go up on stage?
Sure.
What are you afraid of?
The audience is fully armed. That's scary. If you're in the deep South, they go, "Oh, a Jew." No, it's kind of concerned once in a while. But we heard about them boys. But I guess this won't be streaming there anymore. But the fear is more. You're not so much afraid of. See, the biggest thing I always ask people, what's the highest paid profession? And the answer is historically sales, comedy, entertainment is sales. I'm selling my ideas. I'm selling this package of entertainment, if you will. God help the audience, Can I connect? When you connect with an audience, an hour presentation, an hour show, an hour talk feels like 5 minutes. And I think we talked about this. When you don't connect, 5 minutes feels like an hour. And what's interesting is the boundaries that you could stretch on the subject material you could cover when you're connected are almost don't even exist, right? Like if somebody comes out and says something, whoa, that's offensive. But if somebody comes out that or you feel like you relate to them and they say the same thing, you're like, oh, I'm fine with this guy saying that. So the biggest fear is almost if I don't connect and I'm not really making a difference for the people at that moment. Now, there are shows that are just comedy may or may not be the right form of entertainment at that moment. Mm-hmm. And you just always stay professional. You never curse the audience out or yell at them or you guys are dummies. Because I remember when I was at the Improv in San Jose, I was waiting to get a audition, if you will. And I had been up all night working on a project because that's what we do as entrepreneurs. There's no clock. It's like you when you're excited and then you fall asleep, you pick your head up at your desk at times. And guy calls me and goes, hey, can you come down and open tonight and host a show? Now, the Improv in San Jose is a beautiful theater. It's 400 and something seats. I got there that night. I go, yeah, sure. And I was tired. 12 people in the audience. Clearly, it was my fans, all of them. Yeah, no, not at all. I don't know. And I came down there, and then it was a quiet night. Then the guy calls me back a month later. He goes, hey, remember last month at the Improv when you bombed? And I'm on the phone going, oh, yeah, I remember that. Thank you for
for bringing it up.
He says, you stayed professional. You didn't yell at the audience. You did your job, and that impressed me. Would you like to open for so-and-so? And I'm like, yeah.
What about on a day like today when it's the day after the crisis in Paris or even after 9/11.
Yes.
How do you walk into a room or come onto the radio like this and switch gears?
That's an excellent question, and I appreciate your comments at the beginning of the show and your questions to Robert. First things first, we're human. And, when something like that happens, I've been to Paris. I have friends. I enjoy the French. I speak French. Your heart goes out to the people, and you go, as I think Robert said it well, you get angry. You feel like you want revenge, and I totally agree. And then you feel, killing begets more killing, and all of a sudden, where's it going to go? I put something on my Facebook page that said, it was a picture of the Eiffel Tower lit up with, and a quote from Martin Luther King about, love. And it's, darkness doesn't cure darkness, nor hate doesn't cure hate, but love can, light can stop darkness and love can stop hate. And you go, at what point can you get through to a mindset and go, what are you trying to accomplish by, you just took your own life to end these other people's lives. And you go, why do we do that? And comedians are people that, it's very difficult subjects and timing that can walk a nation through a tragedy. There's an element of timing. There's an element of appropriateness. There's an element of acknowledgement. You can't hide the fact that something terrible happened. And you say, how can I acknowledge this and be a voice of positive for people to let's rally together and focus on what can we do to make a difference? I believe if people are laughing and smiling and, somebody even said, I thought when Robin Williams passed away and what an impact he had, somebody said that even like the ISIS terrorists were tweeting that they were saddened by that. And I thought that there's a guy who touched so insane people who lost their mind to be part of something like that. A comedian or an entertainer, somebody still seems so real to them that they was touched. Mm-hmm. How can we stop it? And the answer is you can't reprogram some of that. And you have to find out the people that are responsible, but it's just acknowledge it and then try to like you said, now I reset and move forward. We keep moving forward as we always do. This world has been, opportunity comes from tragedy, and I don't mean opportunity like taking advantage of, but I have a friend who worked in the second tower of the World Trade Center. And that day, when it happened on 9/11, he stayed home to have breakfast with his daughter. And you know what happened? And he saw that was a sign from God that, you know what, I'm here for something else. And he totally created something different after that.
Jeff Applebaum, thank you for sharing your personal thoughts on the tragedy and for lightening up a little bit at the beginning. I also want to thank you for being on the show and making the trip out here. You've got hundreds of dates on the calendar throughout the year, and you made time for us today. I want to thank Robert Beatles for sharing his story. I want to thank our sponsor, Michelle Halston, business attorney with the law offices of Greenberg and Trarig. We were over at her office the other day, and we talked to Darrell Steinberg, who is running for mayor, and it was very informative. But Michelle is an M&A attorney. She's a business attorney, and she's also a sponsor of the show, and she's a good friend that I have used in business. And if you want a personal introduction to Michelle, to Greenberg Trarig, or anybody else who sponsors this show, I would be happy to hand you off directly to help you to build your business, to make an acquisition, if you're selling your company. Michelle would be a great pickup for you. Next week we have Linda Chalk and John Jackson coming on the show. Going to be a great show. They are inspiring a new generation of entrepreneurs in this area. And in just a moment, I'm going to have some closing thoughts that I'm going to share about catching your big break. And once that opportunity is identified and is sometimes begging us to seize it, what we might consider doing in those moments, in your Blaine Gabbert moments. I'm Mark Haney. You're listening to Entrepreneurs Unlimited on Sports 1140, KHTK, and HaneyBiz.com.
Once again, here's Mark.
Welcome back, and I think it was a great show today, and I have some closing thoughts. And I think on a morning like today, I'm definitely looking inward, looking in the mirror a little bit and thinking about what I'm all about and why I do what I do. And you're probably, if you're out there listening, you're probably like that too. You just have those days where you're looking at yourself. And I think maybe today with the tragic events, it is a day to look inward a little bit. And what's really the meaning? Why do I work so hard? I mean, I was thinking, am I prepared for my big breakthrough? Am I prepared for my Blaine Gabbert moment? And I wonder sometimes if I am. Because you have these self-doubts, and I know that it's okay to be great. It's okay to go that extra mile, to push beyond. And sometimes people ask you, why do you work so hard? And it's like, it's not, for me, it's not work. But I also know that if I can do something that can tie back to my mission and my vision, it's going to take everything I've got to do it. And I think that's so when I think about, why I work hard and why I get up and do this show, I'm thinking about my family, my friends, my community, and right back to my mission statement and my personal mission. And that's what drives me. I think about throwing batting practice to my great-grandchildren 35 years from now. And I know that might sound really odd, but that's what goes through my head when I'm thinking about why I do the show. And I ask myself, do I have the guts to leave it all on the field? When Blaine Gabbert went out there to replace Colin Kaepernick, he didn't prove that he's a great quarterback, but he proved that he was willing to put it all on the line. I mean, he was diving headfirst for first downs, and he threw a couple of picks, and the 49ers didn't look like a great football team. But you know what? They looked like a team that was coming to win and playing to win and coming to leave it all on the field. And I hope that if I'm going to leave one thing behind for my friends, my family, my community, my great-grandkids, I hope they know that I'm here to leave it all on the field. If I'm going at a goal or at my mission or at my vision, I'm willing to put it all out on the field and all out on the line and leave it all out on the field. And I hope this is my Blaine Gabbert moment. I'm treating it like it is. And I guess the one last question I just have of myself every day, and this is going to sound really odd, and I don't know if any of you, Tom, I don't know if you feel this way or if any of you listeners feel this way. I ask it of myself, and I think about my parents. I think about the people that coached me as I was growing up. I think about my business partners. I think of my family, and I think of the man upstairs. And it's the same question: do I make you proud? Do I give the example that is needed that inspires you to chase your dream, to do what you're all about? Am I living up to your expectation in driving this mission? What we're trying to do is very unique in this community with these different groups of businesses. I mean, who's going to get up, at 3:15 every morning so he can live to be 100 years old just so he can make a difference for his family, friends, and community? And I think we're doing that through building businesses. I think we do that. We change this world by building businesses. It's what we do. Okay, not everybody does it, but it's what we do. And it's, I don't know if I'm gifted in this area or if I've just grew up in it, but if I can bring a little bit of that to this show, to this community, to my friends, family, then I'm going to bring it. I'm going to bring everything I have. So God bless our veterans. God bless the victims of ISIS, this tragedy in Paris, the victims of this crazy shooting of the Grant High School football player. God bless all the entrepreneurs out there, all the people that are chasing your dream, and God bless America.
Get the rockets ready.